tonight we have Dr. Charley, as I've started calling him. Hopefully he doesn't mind. But he's going to talk to us again about trips, or slips, trips, and fall hazards. How not to do it. That's the important part. He is a retired orthopedic surgeon, and he's a rabid outdoorsman. So he's learned a lot about how to not fall doing crazy things. So I'm going to let him take over, and will you want to introduce Badri from there?
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
Tonight we are blessed with having two other speakers, and leading off will be our ship's safety officer, Badri, and then later on we're going to be very lucky to have Rena speak when talking about how to prevent falls of various sorts. So, Badri.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, nice to see you. Today I came just to point some things from my side, as I'm safety officer on Odyssey. So this is first my concern, it's your safety and safety of our crew. And today I would like to talk just some points. I believe that Mr. Charley's already mentioned most of them, but I just pass through, maybe you're not aware of something. First of all, what I want to bring it up, this is bare feet and flip-flops. On the ships, we prefer to cover our feet because the ship is not stable, it's hazards, a lot of hazards around us here, and just to prevent any troubles, because also that flip-flops, they can slip when you have wet surfaces or something, and then it's you're gonna fall, you're gonna get injured, and this is going to the medical, and so on. So always we try and, for example, I cannot push you to wear covers, something like what I have here as well. We're pushing our crew to also keep in mind to go in some areas, always bring some shoes which is covering your feet, fully covering your feet. And also, as well as we're using safety shoes, which is anti-slippery and so on. This is just for your knowledge. Other thing what I want to talk, that we expecting sometimes rough sea, and always it's good to be reminded that we have railings all around the ship. Wherever you go, up and down, you just take this railing, go easy, don't be rushed, because when you're rushing, this also can cause to some injury. So on the ship, we always trying to not rush. So we are first we think, then we do. So please, don't be rushed, take caution, take your time, and go where we need to go. Another thing what I want to mention, because it's happening on board, when we have strong wind, of course we are closing the doors, outside doors, but sometimes we think that it's still fine, but when you open the door, wind is pushing you and you can lose the balance, you can fall. So please also use the outside doors with a caution. This is also one of the hazards what can get you injured. Also, I want to mention, because tomorrow we'll have tender operations, so as far as you know, that we're using our boats to transfer you to the shore, and this is also very, I would say, dangerous thing, where we are trying to pay a lot of caution for this, to monitor how you stepping in the boat, how you stepping out to the ship or to the shore. We have always crew standing by just to make sure that you are entering properly and so on, because it's happened a lot of situations on the ships, on the passenger ships, when the passengers fell down between the boat and the ship, when they they got injured, they broke their legs or something. So please, yes, when we are saying please wait, when we see that it is safe, you go. Also, you need to know that it's a lot of water around this area where is the platform, where you're going to the boat, also shore. So surface is wet, so you can slip very easily. So that's why we always, our crew monitoring. If need to help, they catching your elbow to put you on the boat. Yeah. So please, this is also very important for us, you to know that don't be rushed. Don't be rushed. Just take your time. We have time. We are trying to do our best to transfer you, to make you enjoy the outside. So keep this also in mind. Another thing what I mentioned, because most of the residents they don't know, but if any accidents when you sleep, fall, got something, don't be afraid to go to medical center. Nobody will charge you anything. This is accident which happened on board, so you just go report. They will they make some examination, they will check you, assist if you need some assistance, and they will advise you what to do in this case. Okay, so don't be afraid. You go to medical center and they will follow our protocols and procedures. That's it what I want to say. If anything else, maybe some questions?
Дякую.
Okay, thank you so much and have a nice evening. Thank you.
Okay, so some of you were not here last night, and I'll briefly summarize what we talked about for those of you who weren't here. But as you may recall, there are two basic types or severity of falls. Does anyone remember what they are? The two types? One being fall from a height, less common but more severe, and the other being a same level fall, more common, less severe. And the four types or precipitants for a same level fall are what? Slip, right? Trip is number two. The two weirdos, a stump and a step, right? Okay. So we talked about what causes falls last night and the types thereof, and tonight we're going to talk about fall prevention. And I'll quote Benjamin Franklin, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that is certainly applicable here. As Badri implied, taking your time, being cautious, can prevent a whole lot of pain, expense, and disability. So we talked about causes of falls, and amongst them intrinsic and extrinsic factors last night, and the same applies to prevention. There are environmental or extrinsic factors, as well as personal or intrinsic factors. So, environmental factors. Obviously, you need to keep all walking surfaces, whether it be rooms, hallways, decks, etc., clear of obstructions, clean, dry, and in good repair. Ensure that spills are reported and cleaned up promptly. Use slip-resistant materials wherever possible. Gritty, sandpaper-like coatings or strips on smooth surfaces, whether it be steel or concrete or wood, and especially in stair treads and ramps and other slippery areas such as in a shower. So warning signs for hazards. You've seen these in the palms and elsewhere on board the ship, and they are important when hazards can't be corrected. For example, recently mopped floor or deck. And as you can read here, the signs tend to be more effective when there are pictures as well as words, especially for those who may not speak English as a first language. Warning signs for hazards when they are not preventable, and you see these a lot around the ship. Caution high threshold on most or all of the exterior doors, those going out onto the deck, where a high door threshold is required and is a potential trip hazard. Um, Other warning signs: low overhead clearance where applicable. Floor care. You should use non-skid floor waxes. Other fall prevention tips: it's best to clean only one side of a passageway at a time and ensure good lighting for all walking surfaces. If carpets or rugs have been bunched up or bulge, they need to be smoothed out or relaid and restretched. And you need to promptly fix any other uneven walking surfaces. Stairs are a pretty common source of falls, and they should have handrails, preferably on both sides, and you'll see that the stairways on board the Odyssey do. The steps should have identical rise and depth. Those on the Odyssey do, for the most part. Stairs should not have any lubricants such as water, oil, or other film thereupon, and there should not be broken stair treads. So let's look specifically at the Odyssey. You've probably seen this set up on numerous occasions whenever we are disembarking or re-embarking on deck 2. And Odyssey has actually done a very nice job. If you look at the overhead, it is padded, and there are black and yellow safety tape on and hanging from that padding. There are warning signs: caution, watch your step, mind your head. There are handrails on both sides. There's a slip-resistant deck and steps, and there is safety tape on the nose of the steps. There is, however, one problem, and who knows what that is?
The unequal rise.
Right. It's difficult to have the same run and rise on the steps when the height of the ship is continuously changing due to tides. So unlike the stairs between the decks, that really can't happen here. So let's switch from environmental to personal factors. And here's a good summary slide that talks about personal or intrinsic factors. Falls are pretty darn common in senior citizens. 1 out of 4 falls each year, but many of those could be prevented. So it recommends you talk with your healthcare provider about any medications you are taking and any potential side effects thereof. Use night lights, install grab bars in the bathroom, secure carpet to the floor, stand up slowly to avoid dizziness, what we call in medicine orthostatic hypotension, lowering of your blood pressure when you stand up. Don't be too vain to avoid use of a cane or a walker if you need it. You need to have your vision checked periodically, and do strength and balance exercises. So the prior slide alluded to medications, and there's a whole raft of medications that can predispose you to falls. Side effects can include confusion and delirium, dizziness, loss of balance, drowsiness, sedation, fainting, and blurred vision. And here's a list of the numerous drugs that can cause these side effects: a variety of anticonvulsants, anti-seizure medications, different antidepressants, analgesics, pain medications, anticholinergic drugs, antihistamines, blood pressure medications, antihypertensives, antipsychotics, anxiolytics, anti-anxiety drugs, hypoglycemics, those used for diabetes, both oral and injected, hypnotics, sleeping pills, muscle relaxants. And then you may run into what we call polypharmacy, meaning you're taking 2 or more of these drugs at once, which can result in additive side effects. So, for example, if you have a back injury and you go to an emergency room, you might be prescribed a pain medication such as oxycodone that is sedating, amongst other side effects. You might get a muscle relaxant prescribed, such as cyclobenzaprine, also sedating. And then you might be given a sleeping pill. And guess what a side effect of that is? So we've got 3 sedatives on board, okay, all of which predispose you to fall, in addition to other side effects, such as respiratory depression. But there is some good news regarding drugs, because this is a potential cause of a fall that is usually easy to change. So if you are experiencing side effects and even falls, ask your doctor if the drugs really are necessary. And if not, you might try what we call a drug holiday. You stop it and observe. Did the side effect resolve? Did the condition being treated worsen? If so, you might try a non-pharmacological treatment for the condition or other alternative drug. And if the drug in question is really necessary, there's no substitute for it, you might try a lower dose. Exercise. It's safe when done properly, it's free or inexpensive, and there are multiple benefits beyond the decreased risk of falls: heart health, weight loss, mood improvement, etc. So with respect to exercise, I recommend that you try core and balance and other classes with Luciano in the fitness center, deck 7 aft. I think, I'm in pretty good shape for my age, but I attended the balance class today and whoa, I need a lot of practice. I was humbled. So, that's a free treatment that may save you a lot of grief, and I recommend you give that a try. Rough seas, it's a common risk when you're on a cruise ship. How do you prevent falls? When the ship is pitching, bow and stern going up and down, rolling, turning starboard to port, or some combination thereof. So what's the safest place to be in rough seas? Yeah. As you can see from the slide, in your cabin in bed. You're not too likely to roll out of bed, it's possible. Next safest place, in your cabin, sitting in a chair, as you can see. If you have to be up in rough seas, as Badri implied in part, you want to be ideally closest to the center of gravity of the ship. And what does that mean? Well, that is midway between fore and aft. Okay, you see the CG on this drawing. It's midway between port and starboard, and it's on a lower deck. Why? That's where the motion is going to be least. And it's helpful to understand if you look at a seesaw analogy. Now, the fulcrum of the seesaw has an area of the board above it, and that portion of the seesaw moves very little, in contradistinction to either end, where the 2 children are seated. So you can assume that one is in the bow, one is in the stern, or one's on port and one's starboard, and the extremes are going to have the greatest motion with minimal to no motion at the very center of that fulcrum. akin to the center of gravity of the ship. So you don't want to be in the bow, you don't want to be in the stern, you don't want to be up against the port or starboard railing. You want to be in the center, in a low deck. Walter, could you turn on the lights in the center here for us, please?
Okay, I'm going to need a volunteer. 1 or 2. I'm not going to make you fall. Don't worry. Yep. So those who don't know me, I'm Rena. I do some classes here on board when I feel like it. So we've got Lynn. So this is the exercise that I normally get a lot of people to do when they're trying to practice their balance. So see this line in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to walk heel to toe.
Just on the line?
On the line.
Okay.
Like you're doing a sobriety test.
She's had drinks.
I've had a drink. Yeah, this is hard.
Okay, come back.
Yeah.
Now this time what I want you to do is slow it down and
Okay.
shift your weight. So have your weight on your left foot
Okay.
before you let go of your right, and then bring it up. Shift your weight on your right, then let go, and then come back. But wait till you shift your weight. It should be a complete lift.
Okay.
Shift your weight completely. That's it, shift your weight. Okay, now come back and do it again, but looking forward.
Oh,
Do
I
not
can't
look
do
at your
that.
toes.
All
So
right.
looking forward. Shift your weight. Shift your weight.
Wow, that's hard to do.
Mm.
That's hard to
When you
think
walk, you
about.
don't look down.
Yeah.
So shift your weight. Wait till your weight shifted, then release the back foot and bring it forward. Shift your weight, release the back foot, then bring it forward. Don't look down.
Wow, that is really hard.
And then you got to do it backwards as well. So stand and go backwards. Because when you fall, you're not automatically going to fall forward.
Right.
You could slip backwards. So you've got to be able to catch your weight. And to catch your weight, you've got to be able to shift your weight. That's it. Better.
Better.
Yeah. So you've got to learn to shift your weight. It's balance work is not always about holding your leg up or then going around and doing things with one leg up. That's all about core strength. You've got to learn to shift your weight when you fall. Because if you're going to fall, you're walking every day and all you trip, you've got to be able to shift that weight. Because if you don't shift your weight, you're going to roll that ankle and you're going to fall over. So it's also about ankle and foot mobility. You've got to have foot health, you've got to have ankle health, you've got to have shins. You can't, a lot of people who start losing their strides are shortened because they've got tight hips, lower back, or their knees hurt, or their foot hurt. They walk like that. Their foot is flat. So they haven't got that range of heel-toe movement. So you've got to work on your foot health, you've got to work on strengthening your glutes, strengthening your core and opening up your hips. That'll take away a lot of pain in your knees and a lot of pain in your feet as well, in your lower back. And that'll then help when you need a balance. Normally in a gym we will use a balance ball or a wobble ball. Here we don't have to, the ship will do the wobble for you. So you just can practice by doing that same thing. Use your wardrobe in your cabin. You've got your mirror behind your door, you've got your bathroom, you've got your wardrobe. Use that. Don't lean onto it. It's only if the ship is rocking. You then, okay, I need to lean. But you should be able to walk and speed up that without having to go whoa, 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 whoa. It should be straight and saying going backwards without, and I'm looking that way too, and I'm doing it. So you should be able to look at any direction, because when you're walking, you've got bags, you're talking to someone, you're looking at a sign. You've got to be able to do it without looking at your feet. So it's just practice, use your wardrobe, and practice walking back, practice walking forward, and so forth. And just have your hands ready just to catch yourself if the ship is on a wobbly day. Good time to do it when it is a wobbly day, because it helps you catch that balance. So shift your balance, take it up. You can bring it up high, you can go really slow. Test your balance. You can come up and do a hip circle, test your balance. Work on all that. Work on ankle mobility. Use your wardrobe. Hold on to your wardrobe. Soften your knees, lift. Lower, rock back, lift. Lower, rock back. So there's a lot of things you can do on the ship to fix a lot of things up. The one thing you're doing now is you're using your body.
Oh. Yeah.
Soften your knees, and it's only from the knees only. I'm not taking my body with me. I'm just working my ankles. I'm not using my body to go with me. So soften your knees. Okay, so that's some small tips and tricks. Other than that, I didn't get to go to Luciana's class yesterday, but obviously it looks like it was a success. So go to that, or go to one of the Pilates classes, or if you need any tips and tricks to use for foot or health. Or I know I did a challenge day when we crossed, I think, to Hawaii. Every day was a different challenge, and we did do foot days, shoulder days and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that again, but if there is interest I can. But yeah, you need to work on your balance. Do not look at your feet when you practice. Walk backwards, walk forward. I know they mentioned the safety officer wearing covered shoes, but do it without your shoes. Foot health is open toes. You close your toes like that all day is not good health. That's when you end up with your bunions and stuff like that. So you've got to be able to open your toes. Open them up, squeeze them in, open up. You do it with your hands, but your toes don't. And that's when you get problem with your feet as you age. So your feet have to be able to open and breathe. So flat foot working like Viv does. No, nobody likes it, but she's actually got the best foot health on the ship because she has all that strength in her feet. Nothing bothers her. Rocks, stones, ice, snow, she's fine everywhere she goes because she can catch herself. She's got great foot range and great foot health. So try and walk in your cabin as much as you can with bare feet. Let those toes breathe. If they don't open, open them. Open your toes back, forward, down. Get the health, get them moving, because they're the ones that are going to catch you. So work on that. Make sure that you put your weight down on the balls of each feet, and your heel, they're your 3 point of weight. It's not always on the ball of your foot or your heel. It's heel, toe, shift your weight. Because when we walk, like what's happening with you at the beginning, your weight was forward on that toe and you just couldn't grab it. Weight is completely on your foot. Completely on your foot. So your whole weight is standing there. And then try and do it with your eyes closed. It's funny, I do it all the time in class. I tell everybody, okay, we're going to do, and they come up, okay, now extend, they extend, and as soon as I say close their eyes, they'll all go, whoa. I said, you're just doing the same thing. Nothing different, but your eyes makes your perspective just change completely. So practice with your eyes closed, because when you fall, you tend to go, and everything loses. You don't see anything. So learn to practice that as well, and do it in your cabin. Use your wall for balance, but you want to just bounce off the wall, just if it's rocking, so you can catch yourself if you need to. And that's about it. Thank you.
Well, I will readily admit that in my first balance class earlier today, I looked a lot more like Lynn than Rena. So, okay. So, standing on a cruise ship in rough seas. So, Walter, could you turn the lights on for a moment again, please? You may have left. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. You want a wide stance. All right. You're going to balance better this way. Now, if the primary problem is pitching, the bow and the stern going up and down, you want to turn so your stance is aligned with the length of the vessel, and you're able to withstand that pitching with your wide stance. If, on the other hand, it's rolling side to side, you want to be turned this way. Well, what do you do if it's pitching and rolling?
Go back to bed. Go to bed.
That's the best idea. But if you have to be up, you want to split the difference and be about 45 degrees, again with a wide stance. This way or this way. So, As implied by Badri and previously, you always want to hold on to something whenever possible, preferably a handrail or railing on a deck or an adjacent wall to support yourself. As Badri implied, go slowly. You want to walk with a wide-based gait, holding on to a railing or a wall. Should you use elevators in rough seas? Well, maybe not, because they can shift sideways and be quite frightening. And if you do use stairs, as implied repeatedly, you go slowly and with a wide base gait and always hold on to the handrail. So some other fall prevention tips. Don't use stools or chairs or boxes as substitutes for ladders. They can tip, as demonstrated here, resulting in a fall. If you're walking on stairs, you want to maintain an unobstructed view of the stairs ahead. So don't carry a large load that obstructs your vision, as demonstrated in this photo. You want ascend and descend slowly, as stated repeatedly, and cautiously. You don't run, you don't hurry, you don't jump, you don't skip steps going up or down. As stated repeatedly, you want to use the handrail, so you don't want to carry large objects, especially heavy objects that require use of both hands. You want to have one hand for whatever you're carrying and one hand for yourself, for the ship, the handrail. So carry smaller, lighter loads or obtain help. So let's switch gears. Talk about how to minimize or prevent injury if you do fall. So general principles: to minimize injury, you want lower forces. Okay? You want gradual deceleration. Okay. Those of you who weren't here last night, we talked about some very basic physics. Force equals mass times acceleration, or deceleration in the case of a fall. And we want to minimize the deceleration, which converts to lower forces. So how do we decrease the deceleration, make it gradual, and how can we spread force over multiple body parts? Two basic principles. So gradual deceleration. Equation for this is change in velocity per unit time. So you could possibly decrease the velocity or increase the time. But you can't change the delta V unless you grab or strike something on the way down. That may be possible. Grabbing a handrail, a piece of furniture, something else. More likely, you'll be increasing the time over which the deceleration occurs by contracting muscles to slow your descent, bracing, contracting muscles can also help you roll and contact successive body parts so that no one body part is absorbing all the force. And as implied at the outset, if you increase the T in that equation, you decrease the deceleration and thereby force. So, how are we going to do gradual deceleration if you're going to fall? So you don't want to maintain stiffly outstretched upper or lower limbs. If you do, they will simply act like stiff struts and transmit the forces proximally upwards rather than absorbing it. So in this image, you're seeing the left upper extremity stiffly stretched outward with a fallen outstretched hand, and It's acting as a strut, a solid rod that's transmitting the force of the fall into the shoulder joint and shoving the ball out of the socket backwards, a posterior shoulder dislocation. So instead of making your upper and lower limbs into struts, you want to allow the joints, elbows, hips, knees, to gradually bend. Not suddenly collapse, but contract your muscles to allow them to gradually bend, absorbing some of the energy and act like shock absorbers. Okay, so as stated earlier, F equals MA. You can't alter your body mass suddenly, but you can decrease the deceleration using the techniques we just talked about, and thereby the force. So let's say you're falling from a height. Okay, now who has more experience in falling from a height than gymnasts? You know, they come flying off these bars and do somersaults and twists, and then boom, land on the mat. So what's an ideal landing?
Soft in your knees.
Sorry?
Soft in your knees as you come down into impact.
Yeah. So you want to land with your shoulders, your hips, and your knees flexed, bent. Again, not straight out like struts. And after landing, you want to allow your hips and knees to flex, bend more, almost into a squatting position, as demonstrated by the gymnast here. You want your feet in line with your hips and equal weight on both feet. Well, hey, this is easier said than done immediately. But to the extent you can duplicate the performance of a gymnast in a fall from a height, it will help. As implied earlier, we want to spread forces over a larger area. So you want to land on multiple body parts, either concurrently or sequentially, thereby increasing the contact area and decreasing the force on any one body part, which will obviously decrease the likelihood of an injury. So we talked a lot about falls forward last night, and if you are going to fall forward to minimize the risk of injury, you want to first drop anything you might be carrying. You want to bend your elbows. You want your hands about 30 centimeters or 1 foot in front of your face to protect it. You want your fingers spread, your palms down, and your wrist in a neutral position, neither flexed nor extended. So you're going to land on your palmar fingers and hands and forearms to spread out the force of impact over a large area. Okay? You don't want to do this. That concentrates all the force on one area, often resulting in a fracture of the distal radius, as we talked about last night, the end of the forearm bone, or one of the wrist bones. Okay. If you're falling forward, you don't want to land on your elbows. And as I just mentioned, you don't want to land on the heel of your hand with the wrist extended. So, falling sideways without getting hurt. Well, one option is to rotate your torso towards the side you're falling so that you're falling or duplicating a fall forward, and then use the same approach I just talked about. You can also roll, as demonstrated in this image, and thereby contacting multiple body parts in the roll. How to fall backward without getting hurt? So again, you want to let go of anything you might be carrying to free up your hands. and decrease the amount of weight that you have upon landing. You want to sit down into a fall. Okay? You want to bend your knees to lower your body and thereby decrease the height that you are falling. You want to abduct your shoulders about 30 degrees with your palms down. You want to flex your neck to protect the back of your head. And upon landing, you want to roll from your buttocks, where you're going to hit initially, all the way up on your back. But again, keep your neck flexed or bent so you're not going to hit the back of your head. So this is a reiteration of what I just mentioned. When falling backwards, you don't want to straighten your knees. You want to keep them bent. Otherwise, you're more likely to land on and fracture your pelvis or hip. You don't want to reach backward with an outstretched hand. Again, fall on an outstretched hand like this is likely to result in a distal radius or wrist fracture. And you don't want to lean backwards. You're more likely to hit your head. Now, all of this is easier said than done. I mean, these falls happen in a fraction of a second. And you didn't learn how to ride a bike from a PowerPoint presentation like this. You need to practice falling repeatedly to do it safely. So take some time, fall into bed, again repeatedly, to try and duplicate what I just did. You can also go online, and there are a lot of YouTube videos that provide instruction on how to fall without getting injured. And I really recommend that you do that as well, and then practice what they show you in the YouTube videos. So I thank you for your attention, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Charlie. I know one thing when Rena was doing her demonstration with me, and we were joking about, I've had a couple of drinks tonight. I had a little bit of wine and I had a little bit of a cocktail. But you were talking about drugs, and here we are on this ship, and a lot of people take certain medications. A lot of people might have a little wine or beer or a cocktail with theirs. And they're interacting and mixing that with some of the medications that they may be taking. Can you speak on that, about how to maybe find a balance or recommendation? I mean, I don't take any medications at the moment, but just tonight I had a small amount of alcohol, and part of it was hard for me to do that, but part of it was probably a little bit of alcohol too.
Sure. Well, alcohol is a sedative, and we talked about polypharmacy earlier, and whatever sedation occurs from alcohol will be superimposed upon whatever results from medications you might be taking. So, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to mix the two, to put it bluntly.
Right. Okay. Now
And,
we're talking about before you practice, it becomes subconsciously the body will do it. So if you practice shifting your balance up, subconsciously you know what state you're in, your body will automatically go into that.
Oh,
Because you practice the movement, like,
So your body will automatically go subconsciously. If you practice your balance, it will automatically go into that. It'll be an automatic reflex because you won't have to think about it. Same thing like Charlie was saying. If you practice your fall, you won't think, "Oh, I'm falling. I've got to go on my shoulder. I've got to roll on my butt." It will automatically do it because the body knows what it's doing. So subconsciously, it will happen on its own. So yeah, you just practice, and it'll do it on its own. You don't have to worry about that. But the other thing as well I was going to mention, you had the picture there on deck 2 of, and also going into and out of the tenders. If you've got any bags, give it to the guys there, the security. Give them your bags, give them your phones, give them your backpacks. Hands free. grab their arm, not their hand. So if I just grab your hand, that's how you grab them, and they'll help you on. The stairs going down deck 2, if you're walking down and it's a bit unstable, both hands on the side and walk sideways down the stairs. You don't have to have one hand and walk, but especially if it's a big drop, it's easier to go down and then come. So both hands on the rail, not just one hand. That'll make it more stable for you as well. Also, when you're hiking or trekking, not every step down the mountain or whatever you're going, you're going to be able to put your foot down. I do it all the time. I go down sideways because there's not enough foot. I walk up on my toes, that's easy, but you can't walk down on your toes when you're walking down. So go sideways down the stairs, go sideways down the mountain. The more contact of your foot on the ground, the less likely you are also going to slip. So you've got more balance and not just on the ball of your foot as well.
Especially if there's loose rock.
Loose rock, yes.
Any other questions? I'll just reiterate one excellent point that Irina made. If you really need assistance from someone, climbing upwards, going downwards, you don't want to be hand to hand. You want to be hand on the forearm, like this. A much stronger grip, a more stable situation. So grab forearms, not hands. Well, thank you all for coming.